We're tracking damage across the Miami Valley and the state after reports of possible tornadoes throughout the afternoon.
That storm system knocked out power to thousands, ripped roofs off of homes and buildings, and left some to figure out what to do about all that cleanup. Now, our crews in our newsroom and out in the field have been hard at work gathering information to bring you the very latest on this damage.
And many of you have also been sharing and sending in pictures that are giving us a better idea of exactly what took place today. So just take a look at this. The National Weather Service is sharing this photo of a funnel cloud in the distance there in Germantown.
And our viewers sharing this video with us tonight. If you take a look in the distance at those clouds, you can see what looks like a funnel cloud begin to form. Thanks to Bill for sending in that great video. Now, before we get to some of the damage, we do want to get an update, of course, on the weather itself.
And Chief Meteorologist Natalie Walters is here in studio with us tonight. And Natalie, it seems like the worst of today's weather may be behind us, right?
Yeah, that has all made its way off to the east. We have a few lingering showers, but I wanted to take a look at what we saw today. We started out with some showers, and it was around 2 p.m. Storms made their way in from the west. We saw several tornado warnings, several severe thunderstorm warnings, reports of those funnel clouds, damage across the area. It was really between about 2 to 4 p.m. that those storms quickly made their way through. But for now, it is much calmer, much quieter, but of course it did leave some damage behind. We also saw some reports of large hail, ping pong ball sized hail. This storm right here, this is where the National Weather Service is going to head out tomorrow in Clark County, wires down. A possible tornado, and then also we have some damage in the Brookville area. This is in Montgomery County, utility poles down around 3:40 p.m. Now we're in the 50s currently. Tonight we're going to drop into the 40s, so chilly start for the kids tomorrow morning, but really not too bad of a day. Starting out with clouds, sunshine by the afternoon. I'll have the rest of the week's forecast coming up.
Natalie, thanks. Now, one of the areas we've seen the most damage is in Clark County. The National Weather Service announcing it's going to be surveying that area to confirm if the damage that you see here was in fact caused by a tornado. Mamie Baugh spoke with the owner of this home who described what it felt like inside as the storm hit.
Lots of damage here in Pike Township. Take a look at this home behind me. The tree snapping off and falling on top of this wraparound front porch. Now the homeowner tells me he was inside along with his 2 children. The other 2 were at school. I spoke with him much earlier. Take a listen to what he had to say. How's your kids feeling? I understand they were also inside at the time.
Right. My son and I, we saw it forming, and then we went into the bathroom, my family and I, and we heard just a freight train. Sounds like freight train. At this moment, no. No.
Just not
comfortable enough to stay at the house.
How's your kids feeling? I understand they were also inside at the time.
Right. They were scared. They were scared.
The homeowner tells me he bought this home in 2019, and he isn't the only one that has damage to his home. All over Pike Township, you have people that are repairing the damage caused by the storm. You have down trees, down power lines, people that are fixing their roofs that were damaged due to the storm. So right now, people are just trying to get things back up and running and clean up the damage caused by the storm. Back to you.
Mamie, thanks. Now, many of you at home have been sharing some photos and videos with us. We appreciate that as that storm passed through our area this afternoon. Lydia Bice is at the Now Desk with some of those images. Lydia?
That's right. We've received lots of pictures and videos from our viewers as everyone has been assessing the damage in their area. Now, this first image of the storm was taken in the Franklin-Trenton area. Thank you to Fred Smith for sharing. Now, here you can see a tree split right down the middle in Clark County. Heather Beaver sent us this next image of the hail that fell in her neighborhood today. And here you can see more tree damage, and this was also taken in Clark County. Now, last but not least, check out this double rainbow that Amy Boswell chimed in. This was the calm after the storm. Now, don't forget, you can send us your photos and videos on the Chime In tab on our website, Dayton247now.com.
All right, Lydia, thanks so much. And AAA is offering tips for anyone who may have damage to clean up tonight. Now, for fallen trees, know that insurance will pay for the removal and any home repairs if a tree falls on your home. However, if a tree falls in your yard but doesn't actually hit anything, you would then probably have to pay for its removal in most cases. If a tree falls on your car, insurance should also cover any physical damage. But to do this, you need to submit a claim to your policy's comprehensive coverage right away.
That's a look from Brookville earlier today. Crews were sent out to work after a tree fell into power lines early this afternoon. This is along Crawford-Toms Run. This is a live look at the AES outage map. You can see under 500 people now without power this evening. That's a big difference from when it was just under 4,500 this afternoon. AES crews, they've been working around the clock to restore power as quickly as possible.
And as we get weather updates, we'll be sure to alert you here on air through our Dayton 24/7 Now app as well. With that app, you can get breaking news alerts, ascent and weather alerts sent right to the palm of your hand. Just take out your camera and scan the QR code that you see there on your screen to download it. You can also find it in the Google Play and Apple app stores. And we're also going to be providing updates on our social media accounts, so be sure to follow and like the pages you see on your screen to get the latest information.
We're following developing news out of Washington Township tonight. Officials holding a meeting trying to decide the fate of a local Airbnb. This is after an inspector determined the property violates a short-term rental policy, prohibiting rentals of 30 days or less. Gwen Falloon was there tonight, joins us live. Gwen, what was the outcome here?
Adam, the board agreed with the inspector's ruling upholding that violation, which means the property that's located on Millbrook Drive is not allowed to host short-term rentals. This all started after Washington Township began to receive complaints of increased traffic in the neighborhood, as well as some noise and trash violations. After the board made the decision, we did have the opportunity to speak with township officials about what comes next. Take a listen to what they had to say.
At this point in time, they will need to either bring the property into compliance or seek a conditional use request to allow for a short-term rental.
Gwen, were you able to speak with any neighbors tonight?
Yes, Adam, I was. I spoke to one neighbor after the meeting, and he told me he was pleased with the board's decision. He says the Airbnb was and had been a disturbance to the neighborhood. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the property is still allowed to rent just to those seeking more than 30 days. Anything less than that is in clear violation of the board's decision. However, again, they can request a conditional use permit if they would like to go back to short-term rentals. The property owner's attorney told me at this time he is unsure what their next step is, but as that information becomes available, we'll be sure to update you both on air and online. Back to you.
Gwen, thanks so much. The EPA says cleanup for the train derailment site in East Palestine started up again today. According to the agency, a shipment of contaminated liquid and solid waste will now head to 2 EPA facilities here in Ohio. Norfolk Southern is taking part in the cleanup. More than 100,000 gallons of liquid waste and 5 truckloads of soil still need to be removed. The EPA says local, state, and federal governments will watch the cleanup closely to make sure the waste is safely removed. Now, the Transportation Secretary also sending this letter to Norfolk Southern's president. He's calling for the company to join the confidential close call reporting system. That's a program that encourages employees to report safety hazards, including conditions that lead to derailments. No major freight rail companies currently participate. The company has until the end of the week to reply. And Senator Sherrod Brown back in East Palestine today. He spoke with residents about their ongoing needs following the train derailment. People who live there say they're concerned about the air and water quality, despite officials saying it's safe to return. Now, Senator Brown says there are 2 dominant messages from residents.
People want their community back. They want to see Norfolk Southern take care of what it's promised.
Senator Brown wants to see new rail safety legislation passed. He says he's talking regularly with Biden administration officials to make sure that they are active, but he says he doesn't actually think that the president visiting the town would have any significant impact.
And crews there in East Palestine continue to remove all the contaminated soil and liquid from the train disaster. As that's happening, members of a Cincinnati church, they're helping to send supplies to help residents clean up their homes. Brad Underwood has a look at the effort to help families.
When disaster strikes, the North American Lutheran Church shows up, whether it's a natural disaster like flooding or tornado, or a human-caused disaster like the train derailment in East Palestine. The church is ready. This weekend, members of Peace Lutheran Church in Greene Township put together more than 150 flood buckets full of cleaning supplies.
When the churches provide volunteers to help rebuild, we can help those families get back in their homes so much more quickly.
So far, the NALC has sent more than 1,200 flood buckets of supplies to East Palestine. I'm Brad Underwood reporting. Back to you.
Well, Dayton police are asking for your help tonight, searching for the person who killed 2 women at a gas station in Dayton. It happened here on West 3rd Street and Gettysburg Avenue early Sunday morning. Police didn't have much information on that gunman, only that he was dressed in all black with a purple ball cap. Investigators say they think that he knew the victims.
This is probably one of the most brutal murders that I've seen in my time at Dayton PD, which is 30 plus years. You think you've seen it all, but I really haven't.
Police are now offering a cash reward for information leading to the arrest of that suspect. Anyone with information is asked to contact Dayton Police at 937-333-COPS.
An Ohio State Highway Patrol helicopter called in over the weekend to help the Darke County Sheriff's Office chase a vehicle. Here's some of the footage from that. The chase started in Darke County, but the driver managed to get away from authorities, crossed into Indiana. After several failed attempts to stop the car in multiple counties, the information provided by those in the air here allowed police to finally bring that car to a stop. The driver and passenger were arrested and found to be on federal probation.
5 people shot and 4 of them killed in Claremont County. A deputy was at the home when those shots were fired. Cassie Arsenault has the latest on the evolving investigation.
4 people are dead tonight and 1 in critical condition after an apparent murder-suicide in New Richmond. Gunshots rang out a little after 9:30 this morning. Neighbors and friends unable to fill in the blanks of what happened, calling this incident surreal and unimaginable. This cul-de-sac in New Richmond closed off by caution tape as deputies try to put the puzzle pieces together. Deputies are not releasing the names of the victims at this time. This horrible and heartbreaking incident is still under investigation. Officials say there were no signs of forced entry and they're not looking for any suspects.
And that was Cassie Arsenault reporting. Now, a local school bus driver being hailed a hero tonight. How she hopes this incident is going to teach others to stay safe.
Also, strong winds and rain left power lines down, fallen trees all across the area. Next, we'll show you some of the places hit hardest by that storm.
And those storms have made their way out. I'm tracking a quieter night across the area, but when our next weather maker arrives too, that's coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Alex Murdaugh's defense team rests its case after calling final witnesses to convince jurors that he did not murder his wife and son. The defense witnesses dispute testimony from state witnesses over how the son was killed. They argue based on autopsies, Paul was shot first in the back of the head, this meaning whoever shot Paul would have been covered in blood and possibly pieces of skull. Former forensic scientist, Professor Timothy Palmbach says the evidence suggests there were two shooters, not one.
To me, there's structurally difficult for the same shooter to have two long arms and no practical reason for that to happen. Add that to what I believe happened to the shooter who fired first with the shotgun, and I think it tips in favor of the probability of two shooters.
Now, prosecutors will call a few more witnesses in their rebuttal case. Closing arguments are expected Wednesday.
Well, quieter out there now after a very active day of weather made its way through. Those storms are now off to the east. We'll see a few showers around the area overnight, but most of our activity well out of our region. And we're going to see a little chillier conditions tonight, eventually dropping down to around 40 degrees for our overnight low. So this is tomorrow morning, but by tomorrow afternoon, we clear out pretty quickly, back up to around 50 degrees. Just really a nice day overall. Heading into our Wednesday, though, this is when we start to warm up. So we'll start out a little chilly Wednesday morning, but Wednesday afternoon, we're tracking 60s and 70s. It's going to be a really warm one for the day on Wednesday. Not going to last forever, though. I'm going to talk about that, how long that's going to be sticking around, coming up in just a bit.
Natalie, thanks. We'll take a look at this. The Butler County Sheriff's Office taking to Facebook tonight, sharing some of the incredible images of damage. These are in Madison Township. Emergency response services dispatched to help those affected. You can see strong winds tore off some roofing, even blew vehicles into each other. This is also from Madison Township near Middletown. Several families had a number of trees ripped apart, uprooted. Some of the worst damage was to a few homes who saw their roof badly damaged or just torn off by that strong wind.
Next thing you know, I look outside and I saw 3 trees over there, and they just got like ripped out of the ground and like thrown, like they were like weightless. Like I've never seen, like they moved so effortlessly. Then the roof like sounded like it just tore off the house, and then it literally just looked like paper, just like flopped in the wind.
Thankfully, no injuries have been reported. A short time ago, the National Weather Service said it will be out in that area to survey, decide if an actual tornado hit.
Now, just south of Columbus, the town of Orient was hit hard by today's storm as well. You can see the storm took down trees and damaged several homes. The storm even causing a gas leak within one complex, which forced the residents there to evacuate for safety. Those residents now describing what they saw during the storm.
I saw a woman on the ground crying, on the ground, just laying on the ground crying because a tree had just went straight through her house. It was like it was in a movie. It was so unreal. It was heartbreaking to see the houses just destroyed.
And the National Weather Service is also going to be out in this area tomorrow to do several storm surveys to see if this was actually a tornado. Now take a look at this video. We were not the only ones dealing with severe weather. Tornadoes have now hit multiple parts of the nation. This is video of damage in Oklahoma. In Norman, cars you can see flipped, homes there destroyed after at least 2 tornadoes touched down. A Shawnee resident describing what it was like to see Mother Nature's wrath up close.
A lot of real strong wind. I was standing out in the garage. My wife went to the neighbors to get in a shelter. Wood and debris started flying and hitting things, so I jumped in the back seat of a car in the garage real quick, but it didn't last very long, but thank goodness everybody's okay.
Police in Norman, Oklahoma have confirmed at least 12 weather-related injuries. No deaths have been reported.
Live look from our Eco Plumber Sky Cam right now. Well, the worst of it is through, and it's going to warm up a little bit tomorrow, right, Natalie?
Yeah, not too bad of a day for tomorrow, and probably no surprise that it's been very warm. We got into the 60s today. We had plenty of 70s across the area for the month of February, at least just a few of them, which is a lot for the month of February. And we have some warmer days on the way even as we head into the month of March. So probably no surprise that we are the 4th warmest February on record as of right now. So this is as of yesterday, 40.3 average temperature. So we've kind of been going back and forth between the 3rd and 4th warmest. I do think we're going to be in the top 4 at least. Tomorrow, we're going to be right around 50 degrees, but check out Wednesday. That's our first day of March. We get close to 70, And then, of course, it turns colder as we head into spring, at least meteorological spring. It starts to feel a little more like winter with highs back in the 40s and even some snowflakes possible by later this week as well. We'll have a look at that 7-day coming up.
Natalie, thanks. It is nesting season for bald eagles, but we're seeing low numbers after the break. Why experts say there are fewer birds in the region right now.
Also, a local bus driver receiving recognition tonight after saving a student's life. What she hopes people will learn from what happened.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Well, it is nesting season for bald eagles, and we've seen a dramatic jump in the number of the national bird here in the tri-state.
But numbers, they're slowing, and James Pilcher explains why we're seeing fewer of the big birds here in our region.
This is a look at a live cam at a female bald eagle sitting on 2 eggs waiting to hatch in Warren County. She's known to locals as Betty, and her partner Baker is probably hunting somewhere. The live cams are courtesy of the Little Miami Conservancy. This pair is yet another sign of the tremendous growth in the number of eagles in Ohio and our region. The Ohio Department of Natural Resources reports the eagle population in southwest Ohio went from 9 nesting pairs to about 74, a growth of more than 720%. But the growth has tapered off in the last year with a few reports of avian flu. An immature female named Witcher died in southeast Indiana of an undiagnosed illness just this weekend after conservation agents there tried to rescue her. Bald eagles thrive on fish and water life, and the pair seen in the webcam primarily hunts in the Little Miami River in Warren County. Little Miami Conservancy Executive Director Jason Brown-Knight says the eagles are a sign the river is much cleaner than in the past.
It's just something that for us, it's like, okay, you get to see the fruits of your labor because, the fish are healthier, the water's healthier, and as a result, now you have these eagles that are able to survive.
And that was James Pilcher reporting tonight. Now, a local school bus driver is being hailed a hero after a video of her protecting a student from being hit by a car went viral. You see it right there in the video. Tecumseh school bus driver April Wise can be seen pulling a child back into the bus right as the door opens and a car drives by. The district honored Wise and thanked her for her quick actions. Wise says she doesn't deserve all the praise, that she was just doing her job, but she greatly appreciates it. She now hopes that others will learn from this incident.
Make sure you're paying attention to the buses and also other vehicles. It doesn't matter what vehicle it is, but mainly your school buses. Make sure you are paying attention to these school buses.
Now, the parents of the student are also thanking Wise tonight. Wise says, as a mother, she knows just how important it is to make sure every child gets home safely. The Wright State men's basketball team is officially in conference tournament mode tonight. The challenge they're expecting to face at home against Green Bay. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
The Dayton 24/7 Now News app, brought to you by the Jeff Schmidt Auto Group.
Hello, I'm Matt Digby with a look at sports. It is conference tournament week for the Horizon League. Wright State men will be home Tuesday night against Green Bay, a team that they swept in the regular season, and the Raiders taking notes of what went well in those games and also drawing on their experience of winning the conference tourney last year as they aim to go back-to-back.
We did a good job offensively. We shot the ball extremely well there, scored inside. Just both games offensively, we were pretty good, and even defensively, we were sharp.
Right. We have a lot of guys that know what it takes to win, especially in the tournament last year. So I think that experience will help us, especially when it gets late in the games and they're making a run at us, and how to bounce back from that and how to really win the game to finish.
Well, on Monday, the Horizon League announcing its all-conference awards for the season. Very little surprise that Trey Calvin is on the first team. He led Wright State with 21 points per game. And Brandon Knoll, who you just heard from, is the league's freshman of the year. He is thankful for how he's been able to grow on the court this season.
I mean, if you had told me a year ago that I'd probably be standing in this position now, I probably wouldn't believe you. But you know, I had guys around me that believed in me, and you know, they kind of spoke into existence for me and really helped me get to this point and cross that finish line. But you know, obviously we as a team are not done, but it's nice to have some individual awards along the way.
Well, Tuesday's game with the Phoenix scheduled for 7 o'clock. At the same time, the Raider women will be at Oakland. Wright State's Micaiah Miller is on the women's all-freshman team. That will do it for sports. I'm Matt Digby.
Matt, thanks. A community in Augusta County, Virginia, honoring World War II veteran 98-year-old Emerson Pell's birthday. Pell served in the U.S. Navy as an aviation machinist made third class. Friends, family members, and even the volunteer fire department honoring him with a parade at his home yesterday. Now, Pell said his most cherished things in life have been his loving family and his 64-year marriage.
The best blessing I had was meeting my wife when I did, and her people and well, my people too didn't go for it. They didn't like it. They said it wouldn't work, but it did.
Yeah, it sure did. He also said he remembers World War II like it was yesterday. In addition to getting a